In the midst of ethnic disputes and heroin-funded private armies, the popularly adored Golden Triangle saw the rise of Khun Sa. Nicknamed the King of the Golden Triangle, Khun Sa was one of the most powerful and feared Burmese warlords and drug dealers of his time. Watch the video till the end as we tell you about the notorious life of Khun Sa. Early life. Khun Sa was born on February 17, 1934, to a Chinese father and a Shan mother in Pa Pyung village of northern Shan State, Burma. Although he is now mostly recognized by the name of Khun Sa, throughout the first 40 years of his life he was mostly known by his Chinese name, Chang Chi Fu. Khun Sa's father died when he was just 3 years old. His mother then married a local tax collector, but she died 2 years later. Khun Sa had a Chinese grandpa who was also the headman of the village, Loi Ma, where he was born. As a result of a difficult early life, Khun Sa was not able to get any formal education. Khun Sa's only formal education came when he spent a few years as a Buddhist novitiate. He did, though, serve in the Chinese nationalist forces that retreated to Burma after Mao's communists defeated them in 1949. When he was 16 years old, he created his first independent gang of young men, which then grew into a gang of several hundred men. Depending on the situation, he was continually switching sides between the government and numerous rebel armies. Personal army. During his early years, Khun Sa obtained military equipment and training from both the Kuomintang and the Burmese army before declaring Shan state independence and establishing his own independent territory. In 1963, he reorganized his army into a local Home Guard force, which was under the direction of the Burmese Army's Northeast Command, based in nearby Lashio. The government agreed to let him use their land and routes to grow and trade opium and heroin in exchange for combating local Shan rebels. The reason behind the decision by the Burmese government was to allow local militia groups to be paid by opium production, thus making them self-sufficient. Many government-backed warlords, especially Khun Sa, used their opium riches to acquire vast quantities of military weaponry on the black market in Laos and Thailand, and were rapidly outgunned by the Burmese army. Khun Sa was one of the most significant and strong militia leaders in Shan State by the late 1960s. He controlled a key route in Loi Ma, limiting local communist fighters' activities. While being powerful, Khun Sa was also smart as he backed the Burmese government and also maintained touch with Kuomintang intelligence agents during that time. Defeat and imprisonment. During the 1960s, Khun Sa became one of Burma's most prominent drug smugglers in the 1960s. In 1967, he attacked the Kuomintang remnants' local dominance in Shan State. But he was decisively beaten in a battle on the Thai-Burma-Laos border involving both the Kuomintang and the Laotian army. He led a convoy of 500 troops and 300 mules into Laos during that war. But the convoy was attacked by Kuomintang forces along the way. The Laotian army, which was also involved in the opium heroin trafficking, bombarded the area and took the opium reserves while the battle was going on. He and his forces were massively discouraged by this defeat. For the next few years, the Laotian army ambushed his mule trains and his military strength started to dwindle. In 1969, delegates from the Shan State Army, which was a local ethnic rebel group, began secret meetings with Khun Sa in an attempt to persuade him to switch sides and join them. Khun Sa expressed his interest, but the Burmese army uncovered information of the encounter and imprisoned him when he was on the way back from a business trip in Tachillik near the Thai border on October 29, 1969. After his capture, he was charged with high treason and was imprisoned in Mandalay. The change. While imprisoned, Khun Sa started reading Sun Tzu's The Art of War and Lo Guanzhong's Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and as a result developed a political theory that he eventually put into practice. He frequently stated that in politics, there are no lifelong friends or foes. They fluctuate in response to gains and losses. A strong leader must be able to recognize and capitalize on every opportunity. After Khun Sa's arrest, his militia unit disbanded, but his most devoted supporters went underground, abducting 2 Soviet doctors from a hospital in Twangyi in 1973. A Burmese army division was charged with rescuing the physicians, but they were unsuccessful. Then in 1974, Khun Sa was released as a ransom for the doctors. Thai General Kriangsak Chomanan secretly played an important part in Khun Sa's release. After that, Khun Sa maintained a close relationship with Chomanan, and in 1981 secretly contributed $50,000 to his election campaign in Thailand. Khun Sa went underground after his release, and in 1976 he reunited and reorganized his soldiers at Ban Hin Thai, near the Burma border in northern Thailand. It was then that he took his famous name Khun Sa. He also renamed his organization the Shan United Army, which claimed to be fighting for Shan autonomy against the Burmese government. He told international reporters that his people only grew drugs to pay for clothing and food. In 1977, he offered to sell the whole opium production in his jurisdiction to the United States government, but his offer was turned down. The Opium King. Khun Sa did not dominate the local drug trade, but he did have authority over places where opium was grown. The local heroin refineries' owners came from Bangkok, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, and they paid Khun Sa massively in exchange for his army's security. Americans who went to Khun Sa's compound in 1977 to speak with him felt that the Thai government accepted his presence on Thailand's northern border so that his army could function as a buffer between them and more extreme revolutionary groups operating in Laos and Burma at the time. Over the next 2 decades, Khun Sa rose to become the Golden Triangle's most powerful opium warlord. During this time, the percentage of heroin sold in New York that originated in the Golden Triangle increased from 5% to 80%, with Khun Sa accounting for 45% of that trade. According to the DEA, Khun Sa's heroin was 90% pure, which was the best in the industry. Khun Sa was controlling 70% of opium production in Burma in the 1980s and established a large-scale infrastructure of heroin refining plants to dominate the market. At that time, he was providing a quarter of the world's heroin supply while also leading a 20,000-man army that was better armed than the Burmese military. Due to his extensive opium smuggling operations in the Golden Triangle, he was dubbed the Opium King in Myanmar. A massive prize. Following the defeat of communist guerrillas in northwest Thailand in 1981, American authorities began pressuring Thailand's government to remove Khun Sa. Thai officials set a 50,000 baht bounty on his head in July 1981. This was increased to 500,000 baht in August. In October 1981, a 39-man team of Thai Rangers and local rebel guerrillas attempted to murder Khun Sa on orders from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The attempt failed, and the unit itself was nearly wiped out. In January 1982, a Thai army unit of 1,000 men appeared on the outskirts of his base location. Thai Rangers from Pak Thong Thai, local paramilitary border police from Tak, and 6 planes and helicopter gunships made up the Thai force. The conflict lasted 4 days, with both sides suffering significant fatalities. Khun Sa was forced to flee back into Burma at the end of the conflict. The waning influence. Khun Sa reorganized his force, beat a small Burmese rebel group near the Burmese border between Shan State and northwest Thailand, and took control of the region within a year of losing his headquarters in Thailand. He moved his center of operations to the border town of Homayan, where he set up a heroin refinery and re-established contact with the Burmese military and intelligence services, who accepted his presence in exchange for combating other ethnic and communist insurgents. He kept a friendly relationship with Maung Ai, the highest-ranking Burmese general in the region, and forged friendships with a number of Western socialites and business people. In 1984, his men bombed the fortified Chiang Mai home of his opponent. After transferring to Burma, his organization maintained a trade organization in the government-controlled city of Tuang Yi and re-established cordial connections with the Thai intelligence service. Khun Sa's dominance and influence in the region started to decrease in the 1990s. Part of this was due to the introduction of new heroin trade routes from Yunnan to ports in southeastern China, which curtailed his role as a drug intermediary near the Thai border. Other drug trafficking routes, which Khun Sa could not control, opened up to India, Laos, and Cambodia. In the early 1990s, his organization was militarily opposed by the United Wa State Army, and his leadership was put under serious strain as a result of the war. The downfall. In view of increasing difficulties, Khun Sa used a network of underworld contacts and brokers in Thailand, Yunnan, Macau, Hong Kong, and Singapore to export his heroin. He had no control over where his drugs were carried once he sold them to these dealers. Some of his business associates started thinking that he was now just a frontman for Chinese drug cartels. The DEA discovered and broke the relationship between Khun Sa and his international brokers by 1995. Khun Sa's income began to dwindle, and he began to think about retiring. Surrender and death. After his long-standing subordinate and frontman within the Mong Thai Army, Chairman Mo Hung, died of cancer in 1991, his grip over the group began to wane even more. As a result of this, Khun Sa decided to surrender to the Burmese government, which also coincided with the lack of support from other Shan leaders. Khun Sa threw his lot in with Myanmar's ruling generals and signed a peace pact in early 1996, straddling Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand. Despite a $2 million price on his head from Washington, the half-Chinese, half-Shan Khun Sa was reported to have been living a life of luxury under official protection in Myanmar's most populous city. After relinquishing the command of his army, he relocated to Rangoon with a considerable fortune and 4 young Shan mistresses. He became a notable local businessman after retiring and described himself as a commercial real estate agent with a foot in the construction industry. Khun Sa died on October 26, 2007 in Yangon at the age of 73 and was cremated 4 days after his death. His remains were buried at Yewei Cemetery in Myanmar. Well, that's it for today's video. If you found this video interesting, then make sure to hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any of the amazing videos we have in store for you.